So for you now, like, how important is publishing and, you know, writing credits for?
Very important.
And the reason why for artists who may not know.
Very, very important. Well, songwriting, again, so songwriters for the most part get the shortest end of the stick, because you don't get paid for your time for the most part, unless you are at such a level where you've already written, you know, multi-platinum hits and you can charge a certain fee. But for the most part, writers don't get paid unless a song gets placed, unless it gets picked up. So you can write 100 songs and only two get put on albums. And you may only collect residuals from those 2 songs. If they're and then it's like, well, is it a single or is it just an album cut? And then we're talking about units being sold on the album. And then, you know, there's a lot of work that goes into publishing. But I think as a writer and an artist, I find that now being independent, I'm able to keep track of what it is that I'm working with and working on. So if I'm writing in a session or doing something, then I know how to move where percentages go or where split sheets go. And I think that conversation is so much easier to have without having to say, well, you have to talk to, you know, my team about X, Y, and Z, about how we're going to do this, because, you know, everybody wants to cut corners.
Another thing with songwriters is that, I don't know if this has ever happened to you, that have you ever written a song and then someone's gone in and vocally produced it and now they want a piece of the publishing because they're now saying that they've made changes to an original?
No, but actually it's been the other way around for me. I've been the artist where I've gotten a song and someone has written a song for me and I've changed a bunch of it, and because I've changed a bunch of it, then we have the conversation about the publishing, and that gets uncomfortable. But yeah. I think that at the same time, because I'm a writer, I wrote a song for Kelly Clarkson and she changed maybe 3 words and her name is on it as publishing. Do you know what I mean? Because she's an artist, and so she changed a couple things and she wanted the points. I mean, ultimately, I'm not gonna argue with that.
It becomes a negotiation, isn't it?
It becomes a negotiation, yeah, for sure. But I think at the same time, you know, people are sensitive. I think if people can try and get more money out of the situation, that's really the intention. It's less about the credit. Because for the most part, I mean, I've watched incredibly talented songwriters, you know, forfeit a lot of credit for songs that they've written, for songs that they've produced and written. James Fauntleroy is one for sure that has written and produced a lot of music, and we probably don't even know how much he's actually produced and written because he's just kind of, you know, given a lot of the cuts to the other producers or the other writers that are on board.
But those are some of the, I won't say the dark side, but those are some of the things that do happen when you know that.
Absolutely.
Okay, they'll say, okay, look, we'll make it a single. If you give them like 15% of something on your end, and then it happens quite a lot.
But to some degree, when you are a writer, you don't necessarily mind, depending on who the artist is, because if you know it's gonna sell, and you know it's the kind of project that's gonna move, you're not gonna object and put up a fight and be like, halt, Beyonce, you can't take publishing from my song. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of, I think it depends. It's a case-by-case situation. And
just something topical now, streaming. Do you think songwriters are getting a fair cut from like the streaming revenues?
I don't, but I also think that streaming is, you know, it's another form of discovery for a lot of artists now, and so I can't. It's a double-edged sword. It's catch-22. I think it works for some people and it's kind of annoying for others. But I think it's like YouTube. If you release music on YouTube or SoundCloud, it's the same idea. People are always searching for new music, and the digital age is exactly where we are right now. So you can't really avoid streaming. I think, you know, if you are the majority of fans, and I say this as a fan, I still buy music. If I love it, I'm gonna buy it. So I'll stream it, but if I love it, I'm gonna pay for it. You know what I mean? I'm gonna buy. I love Adele's album, I'll buy it. I love Kanye's album, I'm gonna buy it. Do you know what I mean? Whether it's streaming or not. If I love something and I'm a fan of it, I'll support it. I think that's something with music that we overlook. When people always say, well, people don't buy albums anymore. To be fair, a lot of albums aren't that good anymore.